Welcome to Killer Cuisine, where we cover your favorite killers and their last meals. I'm Alex Franco, and today, in honor of Halloween, we're looking at the infamous Killer Clown. Some knew as Patches, others as Pogo, but he was best known as John Wayne Gacy. So who had the last laugh? Let's find out. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17th, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. He was the second of three children and the only boy. He had a close relationship with his mother, but not very fond of his abusive, alcoholic father. Go figure. His earliest memory of his father was being beaten by him with a leather belt at the age of 4. When Gacy and his friend were caught sexually fondling a young girl, his father whipped him with a razor strap. A family friend began to molest Gacy the very same year, but he never told anyone because he was afraid his father would blame him. Gacy still loved his father despite the abuse, but he was never quite good enough. At the age of 18, Gacy would begin various jobs despite not completing high school. He worked at a local Democratic Party. He moved to Vegas and worked for ambulance service, then a mortuary. He moved to Springfield, where he would enroll and graduate from business college in 1963. He worked as a salesman and later as department manager. And using these skills, he would build a resume of death. Gacy would get married in 1964. After his wife gave birth in 1966 to a son and a daughter in 1967, he felt like his life was finally perfect since he gained his father's approval. His father apologized for the abuse and told his son,
"Son, I was wrong about you,"
while shaking his hand. My dad will be back with milk any minute now. However, in August of 1967, Gacy started assaulting teenage boys. He even began tricking teenagers, claiming that he was performing homosexual experiments for scientific research, and paid them $50. Back in my day, we were only offered candy in a black van. On March of 1968, one of Gacy's assault victims, Donald Voorhees Jr., told his father of Gacy's assault, and he informed the police immediately. Gacy was convicted of sodomy and sentenced to 10 years in prison. As a result, Gacy's wife filed for divorce, and Gacy never saw his ex-wife or children again. Gacy became a model prisoner while incarcerated in Iowa. He installed a miniature golf course, supervised projects that improved the conditions for inmates, and secured an increase in pay for the inmates. Additionally, he obtained his diploma. On June 18th of 1970, he was granted parole with 12 months probation, only having served 18 months out of his 10-year prison sentence. Say what? The following year, Gacy was charged with sexually assaulting yet another teenage boy. The court dismissed the charge when the boy failed to appear in court. Gacy's parole ended on October 18th of 1971, and the record of the criminal convictions in Iowa were sealed just 1 month later. Way to go, Iowa. Get it together! Gacy bought a ranch house, instead of a town as you do, at 8213 West Somerdale Avenue in Illinois with assistance from his mother. This is where he committed most of his murders. Like in prison, he became a model citizen. He was an active member of the community and even hosted annual theme parties and summer parties. Gacy remarried in 1972, and by 1975, he told his wife he was bisexual. He began working late, conducting business meetings, and having gay sex. She noticed teenage boys in the garage, found gay pornography, and men's wallets with their ID in the house. She filed for divorce in late 1975 on the grounds of infidelity. Gacy joined the Clown Club and created characters Pogo the Clown and Patches the Clown. He did his own makeup and performed at local parties, political functions, and even children's hospitals. His performances as a clown, while simultaneously committing murders, led him to be known as the Killer Clown. Gacy usually got his victims drunk or gained their trust. Then he would show them a magic trick by handcuffing himself with his hands behind his back, then would use a key to release himself. Afterwards, he would offer to teach his trick to his victims, and once he had them restrained, he would rape and torture them. He would murder them by placing a rope tourniquet around their neck and would slowly tighten it with a hammer handle. On December 11th, 1978, Gacy would murder a 15-year-old boy named Robert Priest after the promised war. Gacy killed Robert in his usual way and even took a business call while murdering him. When Robert failed to return home, his family reported him missing and told the police about the contractor. The police began to look into Gacy, and he denied any involvement with Robert's disappearance or offering him a job. The police had a warrant to search Gacy's home, which revealed some pretty weird stuff. The police decided to monitor Gacy, and he would eventually break due to the constant surveillance. He looked unshaven, tired, and anxious. He drank heavily and even gained a lawyer to prepare for a civil suit against the police department. The police were able to obtain a second warrant to search Gacy's home. And what did the officers notice? A horrible smell coming from the heating duct. They interviewed Michael Rossi, one of Gacy's employees, and asked about any abnormal behavior. They found out about a trench he dug for Gacy in his crawl space, and about how he spread lime across the dirt. Gacy was very insistent that he didn't deviate from where he was instructed to do. Talk about a micromanager. On December 20th, Gacy went to his lawyer's office in Park Ridge to discuss his civil suit. He was anxious and asked for an alcoholic drink, in which his lawyer obliged because BYOB was on his business card. And he said,
You said you had something to tell me, something important.
Gacy then contacted the Daily Herald, which was a local newspaper, and started to confess his crimes. He fell asleep in the middle of the confession as a result of the drinking. I can only imagine how awkward that was for his lawyer. The police were able to obtain a warrant to search the crawl space in Gacy's home. When they arrived, they found that Gacy had unplugged the sump pump, which flooded the crawl space. The investigators were able to pump out the water, and they began to dig. They were able to find 26 bodies. They arrested Gacy, and he confessed to 30 murders. He was charged with 33 murders. After an hour deliberation, they found him guilty of 33 charges of murder, which was the most of any person in U.S. history at the time. After 2 hours, a jury sentenced him to death. His execution was set for June 2nd of 1980. Up to this point, Gacy has 33 confirmed kills, 0 suspected kills, and has claimed to kill 30 people. So, what was John Wayne Gacy's last meal? He requested KFC chicken, fried shrimp, french fries, and a pound of strawberries. Not fried, of course. Today, we're not doing a traditional deep frying, though. So instead, we're gonna do some air frying. Now you know the killer. Let's get to the cuisine.
So here we have 1 pound of jumbo shrimp, 1/4 cup all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, 1/4 teaspoon garlic powder, 2 beaten eggs, 3/4 cup panko breadcrumbs, 1/2 cup plain breadcrumbs. Boom. Like that magic trick. In a small bowl, we're going to grab the flour, salt, pepper, and garlic powder and stir it in until it's well combined. Now watch this whiskety action. Boom. Now in a separate bowl, we're going to mix in our breadcrumbs together. We substituted our plain breadcrumbs for Italian breadcrumbs. Tasted amazing. Now we're going to line these up like bodies in a crawl space so we can maximize efficiency. So first we'll grab our shrimp and coat it in the flour mixture. From there, we'll submerge it in the egg and goodness. And finally, we'll finish up by coating it in the awesome bread mix. Boom. So here we have our air fryer. Make sure to take out the basket and preheat it to 400 degrees. We have a super time lapse, so it should be a lot quicker for us. Like Gacy, you're going to grab the shrimp and lay these down in a single layer. From there, you're going to put the basket back in the air fryer and cook for 6 minutes, flipping once in between. Next, you'll remove the basket and check the shrimp. The shrimp should be cooked all the way through when it's curling and pink. And there you have it, air-fried shrimp. Now I present John Wayne Gacy's final meal. Here we've plated our shrimp, purchased some strawberries from our local grocery store, picked up KFC, chicken, and french fries.
Thanks for joining us today. Make sure to like and subscribe to be notified of future videos. Until then, this has been Killer Cuisine.